السلام عليكم جزاكم الله خير. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. I'm so sorry to make my speech very short because I thought it's my mistake maybe. I thought that I will be having 45 minutes to speak, but it seems I have just about 10 minutes or more or less, according to the instructions of the fundraiser. He was threatening me. No more than 10 minutes, but I will do my best. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Respected brothers and sisters, I changed the whole structure of my speech into quick messages instead of a lecture because of the limitation of the time. Let me send the following quick messages. Message number 1, be careful from Sunday school mentality. What do I mean by this? I was attending a special gathering in the school of my kids back there in Mississauga. One of the teachers, he said something really, it was very nice. I benefited from. He said, please be careful from Sunday school mentality, which means he himself, he grew up in this country. He said, our fathers used to think that the fact that they send us to a Sunday school, which could be just one class in Arabic a week, or one Islamic studies a class a week, or something has to do with Arabic or Islam or Quran a week, they used to think and having the full peace of mind, and they sleep completely with tranquility that they have done their job, regardless of the daily base 8 hours of brainwashing from other sides. So alhamdulillah, one class at the end of the week in Islamic school, alhamdulillah, the job has been done, nothing. Then they discover 15 years later that their kid is not theirs because he is someone else. Because the mentality is completely, and the identity is completely something else. This is my first message in the introduction. Second message, it's a message of don't ever give up or lose hope. I was told by an American brother who's living in America for more than 30 years, something they use it in their culture. He told me 200 years ago, in America, one of the very well-known statements that used to be said is the following. Just a pause. To understand what I will be saying, you need to know that there was a big conflict 500 years ago between Protestant and Catholics. You are aware of this. So Protestant, they were suffering from the Catholics in Europe. So they came part to America. So Protestant, they became the most powerful, let's say, powerful in America. So Catholics started to be suffering under the Protestant to a degree that one of the well-known statements 200 years ago was, is it possible for a Catholic to be an American and stay a Catholic? Is it possible? They were not imagining out of rejection for Catholic people who came from Europe that it is acceptable in the mentality that a Catholic, if he stayed a Catholic, will be an American. No, he's out of us. Now, Catholics did not give up 200 years of working. You all know, you have someone in the United States, they kept working in silence. Now, best universities in the United States owned by Catholics, best hospitals owned by Catholics, best schools owned by Catholics. You know that 40 years ago, 50 years ago, 30 years ago, many of us, when we want to go to America, if we want to take care of our kids, the first choice for us is what? Catholic schools. The message, they were suffering. They had a lot of pressure, a lot of things against them that we are not suffering now, maybe 1% of it. Now, the law is with us. This country celebrates differences. No one is using any power against your identity, except our shortage and our desire if we don't want to unite and support each other. So the problem is ours now. Now, let's take a lesson from this. And as I said in Khutbah al-Jum'ah, on Friday, Jum'ah today, one of the things that we can't avoid thinking about, that we are believers. And our main target in this dunya is to obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. Verily indeed, I have not created the jinn and the human being but to worship me. Worship in Arabic means عبادة. عبد يعبد عابد. The definition of عبادة is قال انقياد وخضوع تام لله تعالى دون أدنى شرط. Full submission and obedience without any kind of preconditions in every single aspect of your life. So we are living here in a big test. Part of our test يا أيها الذين آمنوا قوا أنفسكم وأهليكم نارا وقودها الناس والحجارة عليها ملائكة غلاظ شداد لا يعصون الله ما أمرهم ويفعلون ما يؤمرون. All who you believe, protect yourselves and your families, your kids from a hellfire. Its fuel is based on stones and human beings. As I always keep saying, I can't imagine that one of my kids could be from the fuel of the hellfire, which is a possibility as part of our faith. God forbid. May Allah protect all of your kids. In theory, the possibility that my kid could be from the fuel is there. But how not to let this be happen? Simply, you need to work in the triangle that I always keep saying. Home, masjid, and school. Without this triangle pillars, we can't save. At home, please take care of your relation with your spouse. Brothers and sisters, please love each other. Please show love, show sympathy. Please speak with your brother, with your kids. Give them quality time. The masjid, please support all the masajid. And masjid in the West, I lived 6 years in the UK, 1 year in the United States, half a year in Russia, half a year So let's talk about the Western world. You know that the masjid in the West basically is applying the concept of the Masjid in Nabawi. About 90% they think that we can't find even in our countries. Because the masjid in these countries basically, we have our Taraweeh, we have our daily prayer, we have our Aqiqah, we have our weddings, we welcome with all kind of dignity and power and identity politicians. They come just to take our support. We feel our existence. We do all kinds of activities, youth, Quran, halaqas, circles, everything. So the masjid is a community center. Now let's come to the school. Without the school, everything could be damaged. The school, 8 hours a day, and maybe 9 and maybe 10 hours completely. I was just telling them, was my final, inshallah, in 2 minutes. Dr. Yasser, okay? Inshallah. The Canadian government, 2 years ago, they paid $74 billion, $74 billion in the education. Ontario alone, they invested $24 billion for the infrastructure in schools. So when we talk about schools, I have no idea about Nova Scotia, but in Ontario, the student costs in average in Ontario from $1,200 up to $1,400. The school that takes below $1,000, they are not gaining anything. So let's rethink about the amazing need of support for the schools and the masajid. Without them, you and me will have, our offspring basically will have no identity. Because the place of manufacturing, the identity, the existence, the continuation of Islam, Islamic education, do your best, brothers and sisters, generously. None of us, and another thing that I kept to my mind now, we as Muslims, we believe that money basically is part of the creation of Allah, and it's trust. We don't own the money. It's a trust in our hand. None of us owns, actually, it's not just we don't own the money, we don't own anything in this dunya, even our bodies. You know, why committing suicide in Islam is haram? Why hurting yourself is haram? Because you don't own it. My body is not mine. I don't own my body. So I have no right to take a decision to stop it or to finish it or to hurt it. So what about the money? If my body, I don't own it. The money is a trust. I'm just asked, and my rizq is just what I'm benefiting. The rest of what I'm directly eating, having food, shelter, using, everything else, numbers in the bank, I will be held accountable, but it's not, and it's a trust, but not my rizq. It's a trust in my hand. When you put all of these elements in the equation, we have no way but to support. no room, and we will have the ajr, inshallah. We'll stand, inshallah, the day of judgments. Having done our job, alhamdulillah, you can go and sleep in tranquility. Put your head in the pillow. Ya Allah, I've done my best. I can do nothing. And one of the greatest things, I've been practicing Islam after I decided to change my life from being far from Allah to closer from Allah, 41 years in my life now. In the 41 years, when someone asked me, you started being a practicing Muslim, and I'm teaching Islam, studying Islam since 37 years. When someone asked me in a brief, just in less a minute, few seconds, what is the most important thing you can just summarize the beauty of Islam? For me, the most beautiful thing in Islam is just this simple statement. Two things. After believing in Allah, the most important thing and beautiful thing that gives me motivation 24/7 is that our accountability is according to our intention and our efforts, not the results. Intention, efforts, no results, which is not applicable in any place on earth except with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nuh alayhi salam, 950 years, his son refused. Some prophets will come with just one follower, some of them without a follower, but still they are prophets and they will be, inshallah, rewarded. So the results is not under our hand, but intention and efforts is our hand. Let's do the efforts and let's see the barakah, how it will be. Jazakumullah khair. Thank you for inviting me. May Allah give you the blessings, and you will, inshallah, see the prosperity of the new extension of your madrasa, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you. Sorry. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Jazakallah khair.
Nice video about Ummah society.